Hey guys, what's going on? Roniboney here. This video essay will focus, first off, on the Halo franchise and everything surrounding it, and will bridge off then into The Witcher 3 and why I believe, despite its own horrible launch, why it remains an overall positive experience this day that people can latch onto. These examples, however, can be applied to many games as a comparative topic, so I invite you to drop a comment below on which titles you believe deserve positivity and which ones are clearly forced. So this phrase, forced positivity, it perfectly described the Halo community in the lead up to and in the aftermath of the Halo Infinite reveal. There was a lot of, well, just support it because we don't want Halo to fail, and I disagree with that. I believe if there's criticism, it should be voiced. Now, I'm not saying don't be positive about the things you love in your life in this commentary. What I will be advocating for is for all of us to reach a higher objective thought process when it comes to critiquing our favourite video game franchises. Use your occipital lobe and not the chimp side of your brain to make the mind up. Objective evidence on both sides of the coin is needed here. What prompted this are my tweets. I was getting berated in 2020 for having takes that appeared negative and hateful in nature. As you can probably hear from my voice, I'm neither a hateful nor a negative person. However, if that's how it appears on Twitter, I suppose I need to do a better job to convey my distaste in a more balanced manner. Videos are far superior in this aspect than tweets are. So I mentioned something a second ago, the chimp brain. The chimp brain, well, what do I mean by this? Because some people are already going absolutely bananas, pun intended, at the thought that I would compare some of us to monkeys, but it's true. I recently read a book called The Chimp Paradox. It has some interesting ideas. I'll condense it now into a few sentences so all the too long did not read folks among you can understand where exactly I am coming from in this video. When the emotional side of your brain, within every human being, i.e. your chimp, takes over, both when confronted with positive and negatives, some serious impacts can occur. You may react to acts of aggression with force, for better or for worse. You may overreact too quickly to something without gathering enough details, or omit details entirely before making decisions. The chimp itself is unevolved, it's dangerous. It can work for us, but it mainly works against us when we let it run rampant. It's our tribal side of our brain. It lets us form communities for safety. What once was for physical safety is now for thought safety. Go onto Twitter, you'll see this. If you question certain topics that people are very passionate about, and utilize sarcasm when you're criticizing it, you'll risk shaking the foundations of some people's personalities, which are tied entirely to their opinions on certain subjects. I've done this, and to an extent, I really regret my conduct and want to use 2021 as a rebirth of how I exhibit my own opinions, because they were chimp opinions. I'm not going to bow down to other people, but I'm going to frankly state my opinion more respectfully than I have in the past and try and build this platform to help the franchise I love, Halo, which has been my main goal. And personally, I think that I've both succeeded and I have not been succeeding because I'm divisive. I don't want to be. I want to be a source of truth and reason. So the chimp is dangerous, which is why the logical side of your brain, the occipital lobe, should be your one-stop shop when considering your overall opinions. Emphasis on overall, as the chimp is oftentimes useful. It's your gut reaction, if you will. It's your instinct in a bar that the guy whose drink you just spilled is going to swing at you. It has its uses. However, with the occipital lobe, you weigh up your desired outcome, the probability of that actual outcome, followed finally by considering what the chimp wants you to do, and then you make your decision. Most likely, if you follow this thought process, you will arrive to the right conclusion for the desired outcome you'd like to see, whether it's social, political, a video gaming opinion, etc. Combine your logical and emotional side to see your real opinions. And again, all this is completely subjective in nature. It's what you want to see occur and not what the actual truth is all the time. It's the truth mixed with your opinion. It can dilute facts and construe them in ways that don't properly represent them, which is why we all should be open to criticism and not dismiss one another. I, like everyone else, find this hard, but this pandemic has made me aware of how insane we can all get on social media at the mere idea of criticism to something we hold dear. This chimp paradox section is completely relevant, I think, to the comparative essay you're about to engage with. So, where does forced positivity come into play here? Well, the word forced itself incites resistance, does it not? You're forcing yourself to like something. This commentary has gone through several rewrites as my opinions change, especially regarding Halo. I believe that there are some people forcing themselves to enjoy Halo. However, I think for some people, issues don't generally bother them the same way that it bothers others. It all comes down to someone's individual passions, what type of mental state they're in at that point in time, social, economic, and throughout their lives. I was formerly hostile towards some ideas. Now, I still believe a lot of them to be bad ideas. However, I know that, being honest with myself, that some of my opinions were strongly worded because I myself wasn't exactly the happiest at that point in time. Well, happy may not be the right word, so let's try satisfied. I was not entirely satisfied. Little issues became major ones, etc. Now that we've all gotten on the same page, hopefully, we can look at this in the context of Halo and Halo Infinite. I'm positive and hold out hopes that Infinite can be a decent title. I certainly hope it will be. However, unless core issues are fixed in its community prior to Infinite's launch, to skirt over those issues would be forcing positivity, right? Because you are presenting an idea that only positive thoughts belong in the Halo community, and thus you promote intolerance. This is simply not the case. Everyone's opinion should be valued, should be listened to. You don't have to act on it. But if you grew up in this community like I have, you'd know that the Bungie.net forums were far from positive. They were 4chan before that domain existed. There's often a fear in stating what your opinions truly are, whether it's to save face or retain a business relationship, or potentially to keep yourself open to future business relationships. It's the threat of cancel culture recently, and it's such a prevailing and overwhelming fear for some creators that most are content to keep their mouths shut. Please don't. Voice your concerns and opinions, your likes, your dislikes. Engage in discourse with people, and the community will grow better. So let's play devil's advocate here, because contrary to this overall topic, I understand why people want to be positive. There have been so many falls for Halo over the last few years that any indication of a positive move in the right direction is something to gain hype for. Moreover, it's Halo, and as a huge fan of this franchise and its expanded universe, I love to see more content created for it. It's an awesome franchise with so much potential. Not only that, Halo is one of the most diverse gaming communities in existence, with such a high degree of creativity in both maps and game modes that it continues to generate new content to this day, with assets delivered to us over 10 years ago in some case. Competitive multiplayer, guys, and the mechanics Halo brought to the FPS genre were also the stimulus for the now well-established formula of rechargeable health, the two-weapon system, and MLG's meteoric rise to popularity. There is so much that Halo has done correctly. However, and very briefly to focus on these facets, we can't not pay fair attention to MCC's troubled game state, Halo's inability to keep its core formula intact, and a tendency for 343 to often follow trends, both gaming-wise and recently political. And the troubled development of Halo Infinite most recently throws a spanner in the works for Halo. Voice your concerns and, as seen recently with the Xbox Live pricing backlash, do not pitbull for a billion-dollar company. Give criticism where it is due. Think about it like this. If I were to sell you a double scoop of ice cream, mint chocolate chip because it's obviously the best, and instead I hand you a scoop of vanilla with sprinkles on top of it, you may still enjoy the cold, delicious treat, but you'd be saying, hey Roni, I like sprinkles and all, don't get me wrong, vanilla is a classic, but where the fuck is my mint chocolate chip that I asked you for, and you promised you'd get me? If I were to then turn to you and say, well, I thought I had the ice cream flavour you wanted, but actually the delivery's on the way, and I'll honour your original choice down the line, would you make the fact known that you may be happy but not satisfied? Or would you somehow reverse the sorrow you feel that you can't get the flavour you want and think, well, that poor ice cream salesman wants to sell mint chocolate chip, but only has vanilla and sprinkles. And myself and others should be happy with the vanilla and sprinkles, despite the sign at the front clearly saying all the flavours you love and enjoy exactly the way you remember them. All this tells the ice cream salesman is that, actually, I didn't want vanilla with sprinkles, but this is what I've received, and now that I've received it, I'm actually okay with not receiving mint chocolate chip. I'll accept the salesman charging me for mint but giving me vanilla in the future because I'm not willing to complain, ask for my money back, or boycott the business. I know this is a stretch of an analogy, but this is the hill I've chosen to die on, the ice cream hill. Because, whether I want to or not, I love this franchise. I want to see it move in a direction that will make all the fans happy. This can only be done by being honest to not only ourselves but to the facts and not the fiction. If we were promised mint chocolate chip with not just one, but 2 scoops, we can't say it's okay to receive the scoops late because some of us are not okay with getting 1 scoop now and 1 scoop later. Okay? Just really it is. Or getting a completely different, watered down, less interesting flavour from the onset. Which brings me onto the next part of this commentary. What defines a good gaming company these days? When I decided to try The Witcher 3, I didn't realise that I'd be sucked into a game that could involve me for hours upon end, but could also be something I could play in dribs and drabs. And this is the brilliance, I think, in CD Projekt Red's game design. So apart from Cyberpunk, I'm not going to talk about that in this commentary. I'll talk about Witcher 3 because it's a great game. They're absolutely committed to delivering an experience that you can sink your time into, or one that you can grow into. I believe Cyberpunk to be the latter of these two, the one that will grow into a great experience. But for me, even after 350 tracked online hours and about 450, nearly maybe 500 hours altogether by playing offline of The Witcher 3, I truly believe that I could play through the game again. In fact, I intend to. I've gone back and played Witcher 2 in order to unlock some extra quests in Witcher 3. And that's how involved they have me in their games. Hell, I'd probably play through Witcher 2 again to take in the full story, because there are 2 different narratives in it. Now, regarding this Witcher topic, am I forcing positivity in saying that I have faith in CD Projekt Red, given their current misgivings? No. I found it hard to get into Witcher 3 when I first played it. I thought it was kind of terrible. It's too open, too much to do. It was only once I decided to give it a chance that the game opened up to me. Then I could see the levels of quality that were layered so expertly in front of us. I am positive because I believe there's empirical evidence as to why I should have a positive outlook that is both logical and driven by my personal feelings regarding CD Projekt Red and their games. They listen to fans. They've been humbled recently with Cyberpunk. I have faith that they will deliver their patches. That's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree. I don't intend to jump into Cyberpunk until it's been fixed. I own the game, but I'm far too preoccupied with their older titles, that went through several patches, by the way, before they reached the quality they have today. I believe that the same can be said for Cyberpunk, but honestly, I don't know. I think my chimp says it will be fine, but my occipital lobe says to remain skeptical, which is what I'm going with, skepticism. On a more personal note, and just to kind of conclude this commentary, I've been staying away from games that are shrouded in controversy because it's just not worth worrying about little tiny details in some games when there are incredible experiences to be had in a myriad of titles across all genres and platforms. I much prefer the feeling coming home and being excited for a game instead of playing a game to death and finding more and more issues, more and more things to dislike with every playthrough. It's not healthy. Neither is it healthy to look past key issues and flaws because you are attached to a certain title or a group of games or even a game-based community. So in short, allow yourself to find experiences that are truly positive and make you excited for the future of gaming as a whole, and keep an eye on divisive titles with equal emotion and scrutiny until proven otherwise. Being negative is not always stemming from a negative place. The language you choose, however, dictates how someone will respond. If you want to make changes, you will have to treat people with a greater deal of respect than you may want to, and you may have to engage in respectful verbal jousts. I've learned this through being argumentative and hostile in the past, and going forward I want to try and spread a message of holding back, being less emotional and presenting facts. Don't fire back with insults, and if you want to be a bigger person and apologise at the end of the day, it's just a game. Thanks for listening, kind regards, stay safe if you're locked down. Alright guys, Ronnie out.